Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card. Today I am using some embossing paste. This stuff is pretty cool. You use it with a stencil. This is a stencil by Stampers Anonymous, and the stencil I'm using is called Layered Flowers. So you take one flower and you use it. I'm using it here with some peacock feathers distress ink and a sponge, and I'm just sponging inside, and then you can put the other flower over it to cover what you've done so that you can color the lines in between a different color. But what I'm going to do here, as you can see, I'm showing you up close, that you cover the peacock feathers, and then I'm going to take my embossing paste, which you apply with a spatula. Now I'm going to use some masking tape to make sure that my stencil doesn't move while I do this. But there's the embossing paste, and you just scoop it out and you spread it, and it's kind of like icing. And it was kind of fun to spread. You can make it spread just kind of nice and smooth if you want, and that's what I did mostly on this flower. Or you can make it all textured so that it's bumpy. Anyway, so you just spread it on there like icing, and it cleans off really well. It's water soluble, so it just washes right off. So I'm removing my masking tape here, and I'm just going to pick it up very carefully. And you'll see I slowed it down here, that you get this really cool raised up cement almost look. Okay, so you can scrape the excess off and put it back in the jar. There's a lot in this jar, so I can't imagine I'm going to use it anytime soon. Anyway, so then you can wash it off and you're done. So I let it dry for several hours just because I wanted to make sure that it was thoroughly dried. And I'm going to put my stencil back on there, the same one I used to apply the paste. And I'm going to sponge on some squeezed lemonade, and that's just to color it. You can ink it up with pretty much any kind of ink. You can use Copic markers on it. I haven't tried that, but I've been told you can. So I just colored those pasted areas with some squeezed lemonade. And now I'm going to work on my background. I'm using this Sizzix embossing folder, and I didn't have a peacock feathers pen marker, so what I'm doing is I'm taking the ink and I put it on my craft sheet, and then I'm using a blender pen to just dip it into the ink and apply it to one of the lines in my embossing folder here to make it look like it's the stem of the flower. And then to wash it off, you just wipe it off on a piece of cardstock, and then you can start all over with a new color. That's what I love about those blender pens. I wanted to make 2 strips of peacock feathers to match, so I'm just going to take this white strip of cardstock and I'm coloring it with the peacock feathers using my ink foam applicator. I'm not too worried about lines here because I'm going to be cutting some pretty small strips. So I'm just going to cut those in my paper trimmer, touch them up just a little bit. And now I'm going to work on my card base. This is the folded portion of my card, and I'm applying the squeezed lemonade just to the sides because those are the only parts that are going to show. And by the way, if you're interested in the supplies, I have a link on my blog post, and if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a link to my blog post in the description. Notice I'm being very careful not to move my cardstock too much because this is the actual card base and I don't want it to get ink on the back. This is the Gorgeous Grunge set by Stampin' Up!, which I find myself using quite a bit. So I'm really glad I purchased this set. And I'm using the peacock feathers. I'm just randomly applying it. Now you could take a paintbrush, and sort of paint splatter on there, but I kind of like how it's already done for me. I know it's going to come out nice. It's not unpredictable at all to use the stamp. And this is just a sentiment by Hero Arts, and I've got peacock feathers over the whole thing, and then I'm going to take a baby wipe because I want the outline to be black. So then I'm going to take black soot distress marker, and I'm going to color the outside. I'm going to go over it twice to make sure I get good coverage, make sure I don't miss any areas. And then I'm going to huff on it to kind of re-moisten the ink and stamp it. And that way I get the inside being the peacock feathers and the outside is black. I'm just going to trim that, and now it's time to put it all together. So I decided I needed to center it, so I measured it. This is actually 2 1/8 wide, and so I marked the center of that and then the center of the card, and then I line those 2 pencil marks up. I actually cut this long on purpose just because I like to make sure it's going to not be too short, because you can always cut something off but you can't make it longer. And then I'm using some 2A glue pen, Stampin' Up! 2A glue pen, one of my favorite adhesives, and I'm going to adhere these 2 strips to either side. And then in my flower I'm going to put one dimensional in the middle to pop it up. I'm going to put it right there at the top, and then my sentiment. And that's it. If you go to my blog, I have a close-up picture of the embossing pasted flower, and I also did another version of this card in pink, and you can see it there too. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.